If you buy a home for what you're pre-approved for, you are totally fucked. In this week's episode of Connect, I want to discuss an issue that many people don't even really talk about, which is the pre-approval trap. Real estate agents and lenders oftentimes push the highest number you're approved for, but that number is based on your gross income, which is the money you take home before taxes are applied. However, this does not reflect your reality at all. Like, I know why agents and lenders don't disclose this upfront. I mean, let's be real, they're trying to make the most amount of commission as they possibly can. However, I kind of find that a bit misleading, don't you? Now, pre-approval is just a simple mathematical formula that lenders utilize to protect themselves, not you. It is the maximum amount of money that they're willing to risk giving you. It's not the amount that you can actually afford. Lenders will take a look at your gross income, today's interest rates, your minimum debt payments, and a debt to income ratio that can be up to 50%. Imagine paying 50% of the net income you make towards debt. Like, that's crazy. But that's also a reality for millions of folks out there. Remember, this is a business. Like many others, it's about profiting. Nobody cares about what you can afford. Nobody cares about your feelings or what life is going to be like after purchasing a house. No, it's a transaction that leads to the moment you sign the contract. It's not evil, even if you're on the short end of the stick. If an agent shows you a home at the top of your pre-approval, the commission's going to be higher. The sale of the home is going to be a lot quicker as well. Think about it. How many people can afford a $650,000 home? There's much less competition. And you have this amazing feeling of being able to afford the home, even if the numbers don't actually add up. But this is inherently a psychological trap. If you're in the market right now for a home, if I was you, this is what I would do to establish how much of a house you can actually afford. Ignore the pre-approval number. The first thing you're going to do is go home, go to the drawing board, and figure out your monthly maximum take-home pay. This is your net income. This is how much you make after paying your taxes. And after you do that, you're going to take about 30 to 35% of that and allocate that as your housing expense. You do not want to go over 35%. This is roughly the industry average. But for the sake of simplicity, call it 30% for simple numbers. And then you're going to sit down and calculate that, and you'll be able to identify your monthly mortgage payment. So I'm going to paint you a picture. We're going to take a look at two different scenarios. In scenario one, we're going to take an individual who makes $100,000 and utilizes their net income to identify an approximate home price with 5% down that they can actually afford. And in scenario two, we're going to take a look at somebody who utilizes $100,000 pre-tax and take a look at as to how much house they can afford. And in terms of interest rates, we're going to keep it simple. I think right now, market average is about 6%. So we'll say that. $100,000 pre-tax, $100,000 post-tax at 6%. And let's figure out how much house can you actually afford. So for an individual who lives in New Jersey, making roughly $100,000 will be taxed roughly $22,000 a year in both federal and state income tax. So that leaves you roughly $78,000 as net income. Now, if we apply a 30% housing allocation, you're looking at roughly $6,500 a month. And from that $6,500, your mortgage payment that you can realistically afford is roughly $2,000. That puts you at the ballpark range, again, 6% housing interest rate, for a home price of $342,000. Okay, not too bad. Now let's take a look at utilizing your gross income. So, being pre-approved for $100,000 as your take-home pay. In that scenario, you're going to be taking home roughly $8,300. Again, taxes have not been applied. $8,300 each month, roughly 30% of that allocated to your housing expense. You're going to be looking at a mortgage amount of roughly $2,500. That $2,500 a month you think you can afford allows you to purchase a home at $438,000. Almost $100,000 difference. That's just mind-blowing. An agent or lender is definitely going to push you towards purchasing the more expensive home. Why? It helps their bottom line. They get commission based off that. In terms of the sale price of a home, both a buyer's agent and a seller's agent will roughly get about 5 to 6% of the total sale of the home in commission. So you split that in half, 2.5% to roughly 3% commission for each agent. So if we look at both of our scenarios, in scenario one, if they sold a $342,000 house, they'd be making roughly $8,500 in commission. However, in scenario two, if they sold you a house for $438,000, they'd be making roughly $11,000 in commission. Basically, $2,500 for doing nothing. Listen, I'm not trying to sit here and demonize agents. No, they're trying to make a livelihood and all the power to them. What I'm trying to do is instruct you as the listener and as the potential future home buyer to make informed decisions. Don't go in this blindly. So many people do. So many people get fixated on the feeling of a brand new house. I get it. I've been there. I don't want you to fall in the same pitfalls as potentially as I did, and definitely not like the millions of people out there who are basically house poor. They're sitting there with no furniture, eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and barely making their mortgage payment. Like, it really freaking sucks out there. And of course, I'm not going to go on this tangent, but you guys know it. Housing prices are astronomically high. Interest rates are very, very high. We're getting hit by a double whammy. So this is an opportunity to really sit down, think, and take a deep dive into these numbers and make an informed decision. At the end of the day, I'm just here to help you out. And P.S., be mindful of rates. People don't realize this, right? You're paying back that mortgage loan over the course of 30 years. It gets amortized. The concept of amortization is basically you're going to pay all of that interest up front. Think of like the letter U, right? So in the beginning of your loan, majority of that loan payment goes towards paying down your interest. And as the years progress, that interest amount is going to decrease, and then more of your mortgage will be allocated towards the principal. A 1% interest rate difference can be roughly $40,000 to $50,000 over the course of 30 years. Like, that is a lot of money that people don't even think about or consider when they're purchasing a home. And I understand I might be sounding doom and gloom, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. There is so much misinformation and manipulation out in this market. It's unreal, and it's really, really, really disheartening. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to take you down through some of the experiences that I had, some of the things that I've learned talking to other realtors, talking to new home buyers, and understanding that process such that you walk away with a win. There are so many different things that people don't consider when it comes to home ownership. Something as simple as, hey, you buy a house with central air conditioning? In the dead heat of summer, your electric bill is going to be astronomical. Also, don't forget those random repairs, from plumbing to electrical issues to, oh, fuck, you got a squirrel in your attic? And then finally, the worst thing of it all, property taxes. People don't realize that taxes keep going up every freaking year. It's like, oh, hey, you bought a house for like $2,200? Okay, that's year one. Year two? $2,250 maybe, right? Nothing crazy. Year three, $2,500. Year four, $2,650. And it keeps going up and up and up. And obviously that's dependent on the municipality that you live in, and also the different tax percentages and the tax structure of both your state and county. There's so many different factors that are involved, but 9 out of 10 times your taxes are going up and you did not prepare for that. These little things, they add up and they make it so difficult for us normal folks. I'm not saying home ownership is bad. No, it is fundamentally one of the smartest decisions you can make in your life. However, flip side, it can also lead to financial disaster if you're not smart about this. Don't rush in thinking you can afford a $500,000 house with all the bells and whistles. No, don't do that. Work backwards from what you can afford. I know this market is freaking crazy with these absorbent prices and rates, but be patient. You will find the house that is right for you. Living a comfortable life where you don't have to worry about making mortgage payments, where you can comfortably go out and eat, maybe take a vacation because you have that additional financial security and financial freedom, is so much more valuable than buying a bigger house that you can barely afford. And I get it. In a society where social media tells you like, hey, you're not good enough if you don't have this big house and this fancy car, this or that. No, that's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. What matters most to most people, a life full of peace. And you're not going to get that if you're way too rash and you find yourself sinking in debt. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more tips on making smart financial moves. And seriously, if you know somebody who's currently house hunting, please send this to them. They need to hear this before they sign anything. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.